I think it was 2 days ago, Thich Nhat Hanh has enriched the practice of many of us. He has been instrumental in developing the Dharma, bringing a unique form of Dharma practice to the whole world. And he has been a manifestation of expression of enlightened activity, engaging in the suffering of the world, engaging in the highest aspirations of the world, helping us to understand that and to live that. His profound and accessible teachings are such a gift to us all. And so I want to bow with deep gratitude as we begin to Thich Nhat Hanh and encourage all of us to maybe take some time this week to listen to a talk or open a book and read from it if we have one of his books, and really just contemplate and with gratitude and deep respect how much he has given and his life continues to give, and to know that he was very clear that he doesn't die, that his life is still present with us, and he's accessible. He would say, "I'm in the sunlight, I'm in the trees, I'm in the snow, I'm in the way that you look at one another and see awakening, see beauty in one another's faces." He would say that and say, "I'm with you in this very moment, in breathing in and breathing out." So deep appreciation to this teacher. So I'd like to begin by sharing the screen, and I will begin by chanting the homage, the refuges, and precepts. And so we begin with honoring the Buddha. And in honoring the Buddha, for me, when I begin this practice of honoring the Buddha, I make a real intention to honor with my life that highest aspiration and that highest expression of awakened being, which is already present in me, so that thinking of, bringing to mind those beings who really manifest in a much fuller way than I have developed to do, honoring those beings who manifest awakening in their lives, and in particular, the historical Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sangham saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Sangham Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Sangham Saranang Gacchami. So I'm going to chant the precepts now, and as I do this, I will pause after each one so that we can read the English if you would like to, and also contemplate what that means in our lives. And for me, I also contemplate not only the part which says what I am learning to refrain from doing, but also how can I manifest the positive aspect of that, which is not only from refraining from taking life, but also supporting life and helping to living beings to live more easily and freely, fully. So, which leads us into a deep contemplation of how can I manifest in my life in a way which is generous and giving of life. Panatipata Viramani Sikapadam Samadhiyami. Adinadana Viramani Sikapadam Samadhiyami. Kamesu Michachara Viramani Sikapadam Samadhiyami. Musawada Viramani Sikapadam Samadhiyami. Sura Maraya Maja Pamadatana Viramani Sikapadam Samadhiyami. Sadhu, 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 anumodami. So let's move into our practice of meditation. Taking a posture which is supportive to you at this particular time, whether it be seated or standing or lying down. arriving mindfully in the body. Allowing the breath to gather attention into the body. With the in-breath, bringing mindful attention into the body. Inhabiting the body mindfully, in contact with the earth, which supports us. Gathering attention to a sense of the whole body. In whatever position the body is comported. Aware of the whole body breathing. At any point, you can shift your focus of attention if being present in the body for whatever reason becomes destabilizing for you. You can just feel that contact with the earth, contact of the hands resting on the lap perhaps, or touching the body in some place. Perhaps if you're lying down, just folded on top of the belly, or if you're lying on your side, resting on your arm resting on your side. You can always also open your eyes if you have them closed and connect with the environment around you, the space around you. Collecting our attention and moving inward into the body is a practice that supports the calming and the inner presence. And it's done in a way that feels accessible to each one of us. Each one of us is practicing with this body, this mind, with kindness, with gentleness, going at our own pace, giving ourselves the gift of being sensitive to our own timing. Resting mindfully in a sense of the whole body, presence in the body, awareness throughout the whole body, sensitivity within the body, and noticing if there are places that feel contracted or tender, or somehow in shadow, perhaps numb. Inviting, without forcing or pressuring, inviting the whole body to be received into mindful awareness. And as we breathe and feel the body, bringing the attention to the whole sense of the breath, the whole duration of the in-breath and the whole duration of the out-breath. Allowing the breath to collect our attention, to welcome the whole attention, drawing all those stray bits, the mind diverging here and there, again and again, just collecting the attention back to a sense of the whole body breathing. Not needing necessarily to focus the attention in a very narrow place, although if that's helpful, you can do that. Opening up the attention to a sense of the whole body breathing. Letting the breath drop into the periphery or the background. Inviting the body to relax and be calm. And as we gather attention mindfully present in the body, calming the body, relaxing the body, we may notice the arising of a quality of joy or contentment or happiness, a pleasant quality of being fully in this moment, even if it's not consistent, even if it just appears for a half breath. It's supportive to the continuity and the development of our practice that we notice this quality of joy that sparkles up in our practice. Just by gathering our attention and being present in this moment, being here in this present moment. as we find a space of presence, receptivity, attention, we also notice the pain, the sorrow, the suffering that is present in the heart, that may manifest as a thought, as a memory, as a fear. As a self-judgment. Feeling of guilt, inadequacy. And as we practice, we allow and give space for and welcome also that which is painful. Perhaps also pain that we may be carrying of the suffering of others, of suffering in the world. And part of our practice, part of what we develop the capacity for, is to be present with that which is painful. And we can be present with the joy, the contentment, gratitude, the beauty, and also that which is painful. And not solidifying either one, allowing them to be known in their manifestation, which is arising, changing, fading, arising, changing, fading. Being that space of knowing those changing manifestations, body and mind. You might notice as thoughts come or images come and the mind gets hooked in and pulled along on some kind of narrative or critique, that it builds a sense of I, me, mine. How attaching, getting hooked into these thoughts, attach onto a sense of I, me, mine that we construct in so many ways as something solid, separate, enduring, permanent. And as we can relinquish these and perhaps just see them as thoughts arising from different kinds of conditionings that we have known in our lives, different experiences that we've experienced in our lives, that they're not the truth, they're not something permanent, something solid. If we can loosen our grip around them, just let them come and go without feeling we need to reject them or deny them, just loosening around them, being more spacious around them, shifting to simply knowing them, not grasping them. And it loosens this sense of identity as well, which brings us to actually such a greater sense of freedom and joy, to not be stuck in being this or that. So as we come to the end of our formal practice, I invite you to bring your attention to the quality of heart and mind, which is a blessing of this practice. Whatever calmness, whatever openness of heart, whatever presence, kindness has been touched into in this moment, in this practice. Let's dedicate that to all beings. And not only our practice, but the goodness of our lives. All those many, many countless moments of generosity, of waking up before we act out a reactive mind state, or in the middle of acting it out, or even after we've acted it out and regretting it and making amends. All of the ways that we integrate mindfulness in our lives, and all the beauty of our dedicated practice. Let's dedicate that to the happiness, the well-being, and the liberation of all beings everywhere. So over the past few weeks, I have been offering short introductory statements and about precepts and the value of precept practice. I'd like to take the next few minutes to reiterate a little bit of that, and also to read 3 iterations of precepts from 3 different traditions. Thank you. I noticed that Thich Nhat Hanh's iteration of the precepts as formulated were pasted in the chat. So if any of you want to copy and paste that, or it's available online. I'm going to paste a document, a Google Doc, in which I have, sorry, I find it hard to speak and do things at the same time. So in this Google Doc, I've put 3 iterations of the precepts. So the early Buddhist, or the Theravada, the Zen Peacemaker, and the Tibetan iteration of from the Bon Buddhist tradition, which and I'm going to open up that document on share screen. And I'd like to just read them. That's all we have time for today. And in our, over the coming months, here we go. Over the coming months, I'm going to be kind of working with these, not in an order, but I'm going to be finding where they connect in different ways and how they inform each other. I find that many of the Zen iterations of the precepts, and they've added, in Zen there are 10 precepts, and I find many of those teachings are present in the Pali discourses in other texts. So they're not iterated as in the simple formulation that we're used to in the early Buddhist teaching. So in my approach, I'm going to draw from the different texts that I'm going to read, and also different translations. So I'm just going to read it through, and just as we have limited time, I'm just going to read them myself. I'll just go through the early Buddhist refuges one time. I won't read them three times. I included also the text from the Dhammapada because the Zen teaching includes that as part of their 16 precepts. So here we go. Homage, I'll read them in English. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. To the Buddha I go for refuge. To the Dharma, I go for refuge. To the Sangha, I go for refuge. To avoid all evil, to cultivate good, and to cleanse one's mind. This is the teaching of the Buddha. And the precepts, I undertake the training to refrain from destroying living beings. I undertake the training to refrain from stealing or taking that which is not freely given. I undertake the training to refrain from sexual misconduct. I undertake the training to refrain from false speech. I undertake the training to refrain from taking intoxicants, which cause carelessness and cloud the mind. So these are the early Buddhist teachings that we're familiar with. And there are many iterations of the Zen precepts, 16 Zen precepts. So I chose the Zen Peacemaker, but there are many others, and you might want to explore them, and I also will draw from them as we begin this journey. So the three refuges. Inviting all creations into the mandala of my practice and vowing to serve them, I take refuge in Buddha, the awakened nature of all beings. Dharma, the ocean of wisdom and compassion. Sangha, the community of those living in harmony with all Buddhas and Dharmas. And then the three tenets. So this is a kind of interpretation or exploration of those verses from the Dhammapada. In many Zen traditions, they have a different iteration of those verses from the Dhammapada as part of the 16 precepts. But in the Zen Peacemakers, they say, taking refuge and entering the stream of engaged spirituality, I vow to live a life of not knowing, thereby giving up fixed ideas about myself and the universe. Bearing witness to the joy and suffering of the world. Healing myself and others. Or another way that is often put is from that space of not knowing and bearing witness, allowing a compassionate response to emerge for myself and others. The 10 practices of a Zen peacemaker. Being mindful of the interdependence of oneness and diversity, wishing to actualize my vows, I engage in the spiritual practice of peacemakers throughout all space and time. Recognize that they are not separate from all that is. This is the practice of non-killing. I will not lead a harmful life, nor encourage others to do so. and will abstain from killing living beings, thus living in harmony with all life and the environment sustaining it. Peacemakers throughout all space and time are satisfied with what they have. This is the practice of non-stealing. I will not take anything not given, and will freely give, ask for, and accept what is needed. Peacemakers throughout all space and time encounter all creations with respect and dignity. This is the practice of chaste conduct. I will give and accept love and friendship without using or clinging. Peacemakers throughout all space and time listen and speak truthfully and compassionately. This is the practice of non-lying. I will compassionately and constructively speak the truth as I perceive it, purposely deceiving no one. Peacemakers throughout all space and time cultivate a mind that sees clearly. This is the practice of not being deluded. I will embrace all experience directly. So this corresponds to the not taking intoxicants. And then these next are in addition to, but connect with, the 5 basic precepts. Peacemakers throughout all space and time realize loving kindness. This is the practice of not talking about others' faults and errors and faults. Accepting what each moment offers, I will realize that I am not separate from any aspect of life. So that is the 6th Zen precept of not talking about others' errors and faults. Peacemakers throughout all space and time realize equanimity. This is the practice of not elevating oneself and blaming others. So that is the 7th Zen precept. I will not blame, judge, or criticize others, nor compete with others or covet recognition. In this way, I practice inclusiveness. Peacemakers throughout all space and time are generous. This is the practice of not being stingy. I will not foster a mind of poverty in myself or others, and will use all the ingredients of my life, giving my best effort and accepting the result. Peacemakers throughout all space and time transform suffering into wisdom. This is the practice of not being angry. I will not harbor resentment, rage, or revenge, and will roll all negative experience into my practice. Peacemakers throughout all space and time honor their lives as instruments of peacemaking. This is the practice of not thinking ill of the 3 refuges. I will recognize that I and all beings are expressions of oneness, diversity, and harmony. So finally, from the Tibetan tradition, the Buddhist, and I don't know, there are many iterations of these in the different schools of Tibetan Buddhism. These are divided into body, speech, and mind. So they involve not only what to avoid, but what virtues to cultivate. So the 3 precepts of body. One should not kill, rather one should protect the lives of beings. One should not steal or take what is not freely given, rather one should practice generosity. One should not commit sexual misconduct or cause others to break their vows. One should keep one's vows and respect the vows of others. The precepts of speech. One should not lie, rather one should speak the truth. One should not divide others or sow discord. Rather, one should speak in a way to reconcile or bring people together. One should not speak harshly. Rather, one should speak gently and kindly. One should not engage in gossip or idle chatter. Rather, one should speak in a useful way or say prayers or mantras. And the 3 precepts of mind. One should not covet the possessions or accomplishments of others. Rather, one should learn to be generous and take joy in others' accomplishments. One should not wish harm to others or bear resentment. Rather, one should cultivate the desire to help others. One should not hold wrong views, such as thinking one's actions will have no result. Rather, one should practice the Dharma, establishing yourself in a true and authentic view. So thank you for listening to these. And as I offered the just in case somebody missed that, I'll put it in again. The link to those 3 iterations of the precepts from different Buddhist traditions. And there's, as you can see, there's so much richness there, and how they can be woven together and inform each other, and such content for contemplation, for bringing into our lives, and these precepts just shine a light on how we can wake up in our lives, and they weave together with our mindfulness practice, with our learning to just pause. In one of the books that I'm reading about the precepts, and as I mentioned a few weeks ago, I've been working a lot with these teachings in recent months, and this teacher really emphasizes the pause, the capacity to stop that mindfulness gives us when the emotions are just rushing through, and we're just about to say something, about to do something, about to send that email, which is so angry or blaming, and we can recognize the suffering of that. We can be present enough within ourselves to say, wait, let me breathe, let me pause, let me stop, and then the precepts can help us to understand the harm that could come from this. So I'll stop there.